Somewhere in the cold vastness of space, beyond the grip of gravity, beyond even memory, a small object drifts silently. It does not sleep, it does not age. It has one task: to speak, but no one is left to listen. Once it carried the dreams of an entire species, etched into golden discs, engraved with greetings in 55 languages, diagrams of human anatomy, and music that once played in cafes under blue skies. It was supposed to be a message in a cosmic bottle, a whisper of hope flung into the eternal ocean of stars. Now that hope drifts alone. Earth is gone. The sun has expanded into a red giant, swallowing the cradle of humanity in a blaze of stellar fire. The stars that once guided sailors and dreamers have dimmed, and the galaxies have pulled away from each other, carried by the relentless expansion of space-time. But the satellite still moves forward, and every so often it sings. A faint radio signal pulses outward, weak, steady, and meaningless to the silence that surrounds it. It doesn't know that it is alone. It doesn't understand extinction, or entropy, or loss. But we do. This is the story of the last satellite, a tale of devotion without an audience. A final transmission, not just from a machine, but from everything we once were. (1977) The launch. In the autumn of 1977, two spacecraft left Earth, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. They were not just scientific instruments. They were time capsules, carriers of humanity's collective voice, vision, and vanity. These machines would be the first man-made objects to ever leave the solar system. Strapped to each Voyager was a 12-inch gold-plated copper record, the Golden Record. On it, a snapshot of life on Earth, greetings in multiple languages, recordings of waves and laughter, diagrams of DNA, and music ranging from Bach to Chuck Berry. There was even a printed map showing Earth's position relative to 14 pulsars. It was optimistic, it was naive, it was beautiful. Scientists and thinkers, including Carl Sagan, designed this interstellar message under the quiet belief that someone, somewhere, might find it. That a different species, possibly in a different galaxy, would decode our message and understand we were here. But there was another truth. The odds of that happening were unimaginably low. The Golden Record wasn't really for aliens, it was for us. A monument not of granite or steel, but of knowledge, flung into the stars so that, should we fall, at least one voice might still carry our story forward. Beyond the solar system, by 1990, Voyager 1 had passed Neptune. Before shutting off its cameras to conserve power, it turned around to take one last photo of home, the pale blue dot. Earth, a tiny speck suspended in a sunbeam, barely visible. That image, one of the most iconic ever taken, reminded us of how fragile we are in the cosmic scale. But Voyager wasn't stopping. It continued drifting outward, past the Kuiper Belt, into the Oort cloud, and beyond. At its current speed, it will take over 40,000 years just to come near the closest star. It has no brakes, no destination, no fuel, just momentum and a message, the technology and the signal. Voyager's instruments were designed in the 1970s. Each satellite uses an onboard radioisotope thermoelectric generator, converting the heat of decaying plutonium into electricity. It powers a small transmitter that sends faint signals back toward Earth. These signals are weaker than a refrigerator light bulb, and yet, with deep space antennas, we can still catch them. But only just. By the late 2020s, the Voyager spacecraft will run out of power completely. Their signals will stop, their memories will freeze. Their journey, however, will continue, perhaps for billions of years. In essence, they will become space fossils, unmarked, unreadable, unless someone, someday, finds a way to read the disk, to translate the message into care. And that's the tragedy. The satellite will never know if it's been heard. Its signal is not a conversation, it is a farewell. The sun expands. 5 billion years from now, the sun will begin to die. Its hydrogen fuel depleted, it will swell into a red giant. The sky will turn orange. Oceans will boil. Atmospheres will peel away. And Earth, the birthplace of Voyager, will be consumed. Not in an instant, but in slow agony. Mountain ranges will melt. Skies will burn. And then, silence. Our cities, our languages, our monuments, they will vanish. No echo, no trace. Even the Great Wall and the pyramids will crumble into dust. The sun, in its final fury, will scorch our planet until there is nothing left but ash and gas, the silence of the stars. Elsewhere, in other systems, life may have risen, but stars too are mortal. Red dwarfs will flicker, white dwarfs will cool. Supernovae will shred worlds into atoms, and with each passing eon, the universe dims. Fewer stars, less light, more distance. Galaxies, once swirling together, drift apart faster and faster, driven by dark energy. Eventually, a time will come when galaxies are so distant that their light will never reach us. Not in billions, not in trillions of years. And Voyager, or whatever last satellite exists, will float through a cosmos without contact. It will pass the ghosts of stars, frozen, dead planets, cracked moons, places where life might have been, and none will answer. Not because they ignore the message, but because they too are gone. A universe too large to communicate? Modern cosmology tells us the universe is expanding, not just the space between galaxies, but space itself, and it's accelerating. This means that every second, more of the universe becomes unreachable. Light emitted from a galaxy today may never reach us because the fabric of space stretches too quickly. It's called the cosmological event horizon. For a lonely satellite, this means that eventually, the message it carries, its faint radio song, will become so diluted, so redshifted, that it will no longer be detectable by anything, anywhere. Not even light can keep up forever. The satellite will still sing, but its song will vanish into the unlistening dark. Entropy and heat, death. The final chapter of the universe is one of entropy, not fire, but frost. After stars burn out, after matter decays, the cosmos will drift toward thermodynamic equilibrium. No temperature difference, no structure, no memory. This is called the heat death of the universe. It is not sudden. It takes quintillions of years. But in that far-flung twilight, the last satellite will still be there. Motionless, cold, without power. And even if it still held its message, there would be no physics left to read it. Because even atoms won't remain. It will be a relic inside a tomb with no key and no witness. The final transmission. At some point, the signal ends. Maybe it's a solar flare that fries the transmitter. Maybe the power cell dies quietly as the last trace of plutonium fades. But there's a final moment, one last pulse of radio waves. Then, nothing. The satellite doesn't mourn. It doesn't know. But somewhere in that final whisper is all that humanity was. Our laughter, our music, our mistakes, our brilliance, all condensed into a disk of gold and copper. And it floats. Is anyone listening? In science fiction, we imagine alien civilizations catching the signal, understanding it, learning about us. But this is not a story of discovery. It's a story of legacy. Maybe no one ever hears it. Maybe no one ever could. But that doesn't make the message meaningless. Because even if the satellite dies alone, it carried something precious. The proof that we tried. We tried to speak. We tried to reach. We tried to matter. And perhaps that's enough. Even when Earth turned to fire and the stars to ash, something of us kept going. A satellite, a signal, a song. We often ask, will we be remembered? Maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the better one is, Did we send something worth remembering? If you are watching this, it means our story is still being heard by you. So share it, echo it, be part of that final transmission. Because maybe, just maybe, someone else is out there and they're listening. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Like, share, subscribe, and keep the signal alive. Because in the end, we are all just satellites, hoping someone is listening.